So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's short webinar co-organized by Accountancy Europe and ACCA together with the European Union's Intellectual Property Office, EUIPO. I have the great pleasure of being your co-moderator this morning together with my colleague Cecile Boninoliti from ACCA.
Hello, everyone.
So I'd just like to start with some housekeeping rules for the webinar this morning. So first of all, could I just ask everyone to please keep your microphones muted and your cameras off. After the presentation by Jose, our main speaker, you can then express your interest to ask any questions by raising your hand in the Teams via the Teams function, and we will then ask you to put your camera on your microphone on for you to ask the question directly. And please, when you ask the question, start by introducing yourself so that we know who you are and where you come from and all of this. So due to time constraints, of course, we cannot guarantee that we can answer all of your questions, but we will do our best to answer your questions. And in any case, you will be able to ask your questions afterwards via email as well. We will provide you with the contact details. So in a few minutes, we'll be hearing directly from Jose from EUIPO about a new free training program that EUIPO has created for SME advisors and especially for SMEs accountants. The purpose of this program is to enable these SME accountants to help and guide their SME clients towards intellectual property registration. The training program will give you the tools necessary for making the case to your SME clients on why intellectual property is relevant for them and for their business. You will also learn how to assess the relevance of IP for a particular SME, and then you will learn how to guide your SMEs through the IP registration process. And at the end of today's webinar, we will also share with you a short survey to ask for your interest to participate in a pilot training program. Upon completion of this training program, you will also be awarded a certificate of completion. But on that note, let's hear a bit more from EUIPO directly. So Jose Ignacio Maldonado, thank you very much for accepting to speak at the webinar today. Jose is part of the customer department staff at the EUIPO, and he leads the SME Supportive Instruments project located under the SME program of EUIPO, which also covers the training needs for SMEs and SME collaborators. After Jose's presentation, as said, you will have the opportunity to ask your questions directly. So on that note, Jose, I'm happy to pass the floor on to you.
Thanks so much, Johan, and as well Cecile for the opportunity, and Accountancy Europe and ECCA. So I'm gonna start sharing the presentation. Hopefully you all can see it. So good morning, everybody, and thanks for attending this session. I'm here today to present you what is the Trained Advisor Pilot Program focus in accountants, no? How accountants could support SMEs in regards of IP. First of all, in 2019, the European Observatory for Intellectual Property launched, released a study named SME Scoreboard, and in this study, it appears the findings on what are the main reasons for SMEs to do not register IP rights. In this case, as you can see, the very first reason is the lack of knowledge or lack of information. You can see as well several other reasons, but the one that highlight more where we need to put the emphasis in this spread the knowledge of IP. Furthermore, in this study, it is highlighted and it is confirmed the role of accountants as a very trustworthy and relevant source of information. In this case, you can see in the current graph, the IP right owners already almost 20% of them confirm accountants is a source of information for their business. If we move to the next slide, You see, in this case, SMEs that are not IP right owners, that as well, 60% of them confirm accountants is a source of information, and in this case is the second one most common. So again, it is confirmed the very relevant role of accountants as a source of information for this segment of businesses in Europe. At the end, vast majority of SMEs in Europe have an accountant. This is something we are not discovering here to you. And accountants, in this case, usually play a double role. This double role is focused, of course, in the core business, which is accountancy, but also a very important role as business advisor, no, in general terms. So you play this double role as a very key element to be able to support SMEs further than just the pure accountancy business. What we aim to obtain with this trained advisor pilot, first of all, that you gain the knowledge on the AP basics. Also, thanks to this training, you will be able to spot or identify situations when IP becomes important and the IP protection becomes important for your clients. Also, you will be able to aware your clients in case of basic IP needs or other IP need regarding the IP strategy, the IP protection, etc. And also, you will be able to support and protect and make it grow the business of your clients. So this trained advisor package, which is right now in the form of a pilot, contains four main areas. The first one is an introductory session or presentation online, which will present you and introduce you in the basics of IP and some basic case studies or business cases of situations where IP is needed within the business of an SME. Second one is a workshop of around 3.5 hours, half a day, more or less, where it will be a more practical session, hands-on session, where you could go through different real cases of SMEs where IP is needed, and you will understand how to find out the best way to support your client. The third item is a handout or a leaflet, a quick consultation guide, which will give you and show you what are the main IP rights, how they should be protected, and what are the main contact channels or support channels available for you and your client. So in this case, will be a very quick consultation guide that you can bring with you, and you can use it as a work tool. And finally, day learning module we are preparing. It will be ready very beginning of next year. And again, this will be based on practical, but also theoretical information on IP and how you could play a role in these real cases of SMEs. This will be a self-paced training. Once you complete these four items, you will receive a participation certification or attendance certification that will confirm that you have gained this knowledge, no? Once you complete the 4 items. So, all in all, what we want to aim in the very short term. First of all, run this pilot of this very short introductory presentation, followed by a workshop, and gather feedback from you on this to be able to spot improvements and gather feedback to see if we are going into the right direction. Second, make it available, this e-learning module, after the attendance to these workshops. And finally, design a more complete and also solid permanent offer of trained advisor information and training in a more standard approach. This will be during 2022. Ideally, we would like to have at least 1 workshop per quarter, but we will try as well to adapt to your needs. So if there are specific time frames during the year that you would like to attend this workshop and training, we will try to accommodate it to your needs. In the long term, what we think it should be our approach. As I mentioned to you, have a more permanent offer within a calendar where there will be workshops and also the basic IP learning material. But we will aim as well to have more personalized content, further areas to be covered. As you see now, we are trying to cover accountancy, but we would like to cover as well what is the innovation process, maybe IP evaluation, monetization of IP rights, or why not, marketing and intellectual property. Also, we will see how this offer will grow as well in complexity or different levels of knowledge, no? Will be basic, intermediate, or advanced level. It depends of the audience knowledge on IP and their experience on IP. Now I'm gonna play you what is the very introductory chapter of this e-learning module I mentioned to you. And this will serve as a quick view, quick taste of what will be this e-learning material. Let me share again to be sure I also share what are the audio options. 1 second, please, bear with me. All right.
This is the story of how a brilliant business idea can go wrong without the right advice at the right moment. Learn how not to miss opportunities for your clients and what advice about protecting IP rights you can give. Alex, Diana, and Daniel are 3 young researchers who create a company, SunCharger. They develop a portable, solar-powered charger that can be controlled by a mobile app. Leo writes the app code. As he's a friend, they don't think it's necessary to sign a contract. When they need money to start producing, they contact Sandra, an experienced accountant. She suggests financing the project with crowdfunding. It goes well, so they begin producing. Before they start selling, they decide to protect the name SunCharger as a trademark. They file for registration at the Intellectual Property Office. But their application is rejected because the name SunCharger describes the product they sell. They even lose the registration fee. Unexpectedly, Daniel decides to sell his shares to Alex and Diana and leaves the company, taking copies of all the technical documents. Sometime later, Diana and Alex think of registering the website suncharger.com, but to their surprise, the domain is taken. Another company is selling chargers just like theirs. It's not a coincidence. Daniel has created a company with Leo selling the same products, even copying the shape and color of the chargers. That's not all. One day, a big tech company claims they are infringing its patent. They must stop producing immediately. Diana, Alex, or Daniel didn't consider that such technologies might be protected. They are too tired to keep going and abandon their product and their business. Nobody warned them about IP rights, and a tool for profit turned into a weapon against them. A trusted advisor, just like Sandra, the accountant, could have made a difference if she had spotted the opportunity and pointed them in the right direction. Do you think you could have helped them do things better?
Okay, so this is an example of one of the multiple cases that could be found in this e-learning module. We aim to focus on very practical cases that could be very common or could be you could face with your clients on your daily work, no? Cases focus on companies in the tech area, clients that could be entrepreneurs or startups that come to you with an idea, some clients that could be thinking about creating or launching a new product, or for example as well partnerships where these partnerships agreements could involve as well intellectual property. No, we really think the most practical and real cases to go through will be the most useful way, not only for you to understand the importance of IP, but as well for you to let your clients understand the importance of IP, no? And how to do things properly will help their business to grow, but as well to save as well a lot of money. So we think as well the better is for the better situation and the better accomplishment of these solutions are for your client as well, the best are for you, because if your client's business grows, we imagine your business will grow as well together with your clients. Moving forward, I don't know if so far you have any questions regarding the presentation, any questions regarding the training, the different modules.
Maybe, Jose, just a quick question from my side that just came to my mind. So as part of this training, will you also cover various financing support tools that are available for SMEs to access to IP rights? Because I think one of the things that accountants can also advise to SME clients on is basically, hey, if you want to register your IP, we are aware of all these funding opportunities provided by EUIPO, for example. Let me, guide through the process to access this funding, and then we can move ahead with your IP registration. So are these funding opportunities also going to be included in this training program?
Very good question, Johan. Yes, within the workshops, we will explain the most common registration process, but as well the funding opportunities. In this case, let me highlight last year was the first time the EUIPO, together with the European Commission, launched a grant accessible for all SMEs in Europe. This one was a 20 million euros grant, focusing on three areas: the subvention or grant of trademark applications, design applications, and also the funding of IP scan or IP pre-diagnostic services. Next year, it will be a new SME fund for 2022. I cannot tell you now many details, but those will be most probably announced tomorrow within the EUIPO website. So I invite you, all of you, to check EUIPO's website and see what are the details of the next fund, which will be which will cover more IP rights, and also it increased the amount or percentage the subvention covers in terms of trademark applications and design applications, as well as, amongst others, IPPD or IP scan services. So yes, we will go through these funding opportunities as well that are very useful for accountants and for the clients, of course. Mm-hmm.
Maybe if there is no immediate question for the time being, I would like to take 1 minute to thank so much Jose for all this interesting information. And actually, Jose, your presentation inspires me to main reflections. So firstly, intellectual property does represent a big opportunity to diversify for SMPs. So this training by EUIPO is a brilliant opportunity to start the journey of developing capacity in IP. As we know, digitalization is disrupting the nature of SMPs. Some can see it as a risk, while others will see this as an opportunity to offer a new level of value-added services and also to bring the level of engagement between SMPs and their clients to the next, more profound level. Learning about IP rights provides food for thought for diversifying service offering and developing advisory on IP rights as a complementary service to start with, but that could also potentially evolve into a standalone service line, we believe. The push for diversification amongst SMPs is necessary for the long-term sustainable business growth of the firms and also for the sector as a whole. But we also acknowledge that diversification is only possible when the practices have the capability and the capacity to invest in developing new businesses. My second reflection, Jose, on your presentation, is that this is an additional example that SMPs can do more than traditional accountancy services. And it is very important to instill this idea with your SME clients. The development of this capacity can bring significant benefits to SMEs, who often see SMPs as growth enablers and trusted advisors for group and portfolio of SMEs. And this is mentioned in our ACCA SMP growth series. I'm going to put the link in the chat in a minute. So to conclude, I just would like to recall some figures. There is a study by the European Patent Office and the EUIPO, which shows that SMEs that have filed at least one IP right are 21% more likely to experience growth and are also 10% more likely to become a high growth firm than those without IP rights applications. SMEs that file for IP rights at European level have even a greater likelihood, so more or less around 17%, of becoming high growth firms. So on this final note, we invite you to ask questions, don't be shy, and maybe I hand over to Johan for further reflection.
Thanks very much for that, Cecile. And I think both yourself and Jose as well earlier made a really strong case for why we believe that accountants are so crucial in helping SMEs access to IP rights. So I hope that we will have a good participation rate at this training program, this pilot program, and that this will provide added value to the accountants as well as their SME clients eventually. I see we do have a hand up actually from Anastasia. Anastasia, could I invite you to put your camera on, unmute yourself, and introduce yourself to us, please?
Happy to. Hello, everyone, and thank you for this very interesting and insightful session. I hope you can hear me. I'm from Greece, from Athens. I'm an SMP, so this is a very hot issue for us, and I fully agree with you on how important it is to add it to our services and actually provide the knowledge to our customers, because they are not, most of them are not at all aware of this process, or they don't know how they can safeguard their business, and it's really very important. I'm also an ACCA member, so I'm very proud that this is a joint effort with ACCA and my previous employer, Accountancy Europe, which is also very good. So I'm very happy to be here and share with you just my concern regarding the platform. I haven't seen it, to be honest, yet. I will surely do, so in order to be able to guide my customers as well. Is it user-friendly? Are we taken via the steps within this training that you mentioned on how we can, do we need to upload things? I assume we need to present, sorry, somehow our business plan or our idea and things like that, logos. I heard about the website in the video. How is the process done and how we can get acquainted with that in order to be able to explain it? Because you can understand SMEs run so many things at the same time, and they have so little time to hear about it, even though it's very, very important for their expansion. But still, the time is limited, and we need to catch their attention on the matters that are very important and topical. So thank you for today's session, and back to you.
Okay, thanks so much for the question, Anastasia, and thanks for being so engaged with the subject first. The session we will have, or what it is covered in this Trained Advisor pilot. For example, the specific questions you will have about a case you have among between your clients, or a case of a client. You can raise any question, for example, during the workshop. In every single session, you will go through case studies, no? And you will need to spot where is the IP right that must be registered or not registered, how it should be registered, or what could you advise to your client. Maybe one advice to your client potentially could be, let's go and see one IP attorney, which is specialized on this area. That could be one of the advices, no? But during the workshop is where you could see not only the case studies that are already prepared, but also you could raise any specific question that happens within your business or within the business of your clients. In the e-learning, you will go through as well some already prepared use cases. In this case, how it is designed, the e-learning. At the end, it's like a journey. So you will go through different cases, and you will need to specify what is the correct approach or the correct path. If you are going through the correct path, you will continue to the next case. If you go to the wrong path, you will then be provided some information to understand how you could go through the correct path. Also, during this journey in the e-learning, you will always count with information and support. This means theoretical information about different IP rights and how to better protect them. So at the end, it's a path where you can do it correctly or get wrong and find what is the correct path to continue. So this is designed as a journey through different cases that are the ones that are more common amongst SMEs nowadays. So you could be able to understand every single type of difficulty or doubts regarding IP rights. I hope I answered your question.
So, Jose, thanks very much for that answer. I think now would be a good moment if anyone has any further additional questions to raise your hands for questions. But I think in the meanwhile, just a quick question from my side as well. So after the completion of this training program, after some of our members will start giving advice to their SME clients about accessing their IP rights. If they do get any questions in that process about any specific steps, or they're hesitating about what kind of IP protection fits or whether it could be eligible, should they come to EUIPO with their questions, or do they address their national IP offices, or what's the kind of helpline on your end that our SME accountants can use?
Okay, very good question as well. First of all, here in the EUIPO, we are here to help. So you can contact perfectly the EUIPO. We have available phone and chat as well as email channels, those 3 channels. But also in the handout or leaflet we will provide to all attendees, you will see the details of all the contact details of all IP offices in the member states. So if you are an accountant in Greece, for example, you will find what is the direct contact channel for the Greece IP office, or if you are in Spain, as well as you will have the different contact details for EUIPO, EPO, or the CPBO office, the Plan Variety office. So we will try in this leaflet to give you very handy information. And on top of that, just to confirm, in the EUIPO we are always open to solve any doubts. So you can contact us perfectly anytime you need it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, apologies. No, we actually have a question. We already have a taker for the workshop. We have Petru Lankan, who says, do you have a link where we can register for the workshop? So see, already some interest for the training. Fantastic.
Yes, that was a little bit our next question, no? If you are interested in participating in this pilot training. We will coordinate ourselves with Accountancy Europe and ACCA to be able to offer you this training. Just to let you know, this training is mainly for you. This pilot is thinking about you and gather as well your feedback to confirm we are in the correct path, no? So in coordination with Accountancy Europe and ACCA, you will receive the different details to also confirm at which period of time you will be more interested to attend these training sessions and how to register to them.
Thanks very much for that, Jose. And then we have a question from Andrea Selen. Andrea, would you like to put your microphone on and turn your camera on?
Hi, hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so my name is Andrea. I'm actually not working in SMPs and I'm not in Europe anymore because I'm a head of finance in a UK SME. So my question is really like how this kind of training would be like relevant to someone working within a SME and whether it's really only applies to like EU rights or whether there is like any advice on how to navigate also like rights if you sell like in UK or even in the US or other parts of the world. You're mute.
You're mute.
I'm very sorry. In terms of the first question about the usefulness of the course, no, if you are working within an SME, I could say like 80–90% of the content is useful for you because at the end we are showing accountants how to spot the situations within an SME business, no? So if you are the SME business, this is as well, let's say, more understandable and very familiar for you as well. So in terms of usefulness, I would say 100% feasible for you. in terms of focusing on IP rights in Europe or focusing on IP rights in UK, things like that, differences and things like that, in general terms, we are focusing on understanding IP rights. And what are the most common situations faced in a business, no? When creating a product, when launching a trademark, when working with partners, working with freelancers or employees, as well when, for example, non-disclosure agreements will be needed. And this is not only focused on a very specific geographical scope, but it is understood in general terms of things you should be aware when doing this, no? Or when you face this situation. So I will say again, this could be applicable to any type of business. And I think it was a third question. No.
But actually, yeah, it's also like whether like is there any advice on you know, like whether it's like different offices like to contact if we are then going to sell, for example, in the US or other parts of the world.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned, we will provide with a leaflet or handout in a digital format that you can consult anytime, where all these contact channels are included. But I will say as well, and if you allow me to inform you about also a service that is available within the EUIPO, which is called Free IP Consultation. In this free IP consultation that is available within the EUIPO website, you can request the support from any IP professional, well, any that is participating, any participating IP professional willing to support for free SMEs in Europe. So in this case, these are IP lawyers and IP attorneys that are participating in this initiative. So based on what is your question, we will provide you a list of IP attorneys or lawyers participating in this initiative that are experts in the area of the support you need. So you will receive a list of these collaborators, and you can contact any of them to solve any doubts, legal doubts on intellectual property. This is available. This is called Free IP Support, and is available in the EUIPO website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have shared the link in the chat, Jose. So for
Oh, thank you very much.
You can just look at the chat.
Thank you.
So thanks very much, Jose, for your answer, and thank you for the participants for the questions. If there's any final questions, I'm going to open a 10-second window for you to quickly raise your hand now. And after that, we will wrap up. All right, no further hands raised, but I think the amount of information already provided is very extensive and very helpful. At least I myself have learned a lot, despite already working with the EUIPO in the past year or so. So it's been very, very helpful. So Jose, thank you so much for your participation. And indeed, as Jose indicated, as a next step, Cecile and I will be sharing with you a link to a survey that you can fill in, and in the survey you can express your interest in participating in this free pilot project, pilot training project, and then you can indicate, as Jose said, also which month next year would best suit you to participate in this pilot project. We would also very much appreciate if you could disseminate this information within your own networks, with your fellow accountant colleagues, with your fellow SME contacts. I think the more participants we get, the better feedback we can provide to EUIPO as well to finalize this project. So on that note, thank you from my side, for everyone, for the speakers, for the participants.
And thank you from my end as well. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Jose, for the excellent presentation. And thanks to all our participants for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.